So welcome to our video series, What CEOs Learn from Board Roles. We're delighted to have with us today Professor Tshilidzi Marwala, Vice Chancellor and Principal of the University of Johannesburg. Apart from various other roles, Prof. Marwala also serves as a non-executive director on the board of Nedbank, one of South Africa's 4 largest banks. Prof. Marwala, welcome, and thank you for taking the time to be with us today. So you've held several board roles in your career, and you currently serve on the board of Nedbank, whilst at the same time leading the University of Johannesburg. How do you feel that this board role benefits your day job as Vice Chancellor and Principal?
Well, thank you very much, Veronique, for this interview, and thank you very much for facilitating that I sit on the board of Nedbank. I now sit on 2 boards. I'm a trustee of the Nelson Mandela Foundation, as well as the board member of Nedbank. Now, what are some of the benefits of me sitting in these boards? I think firstly and foremost, I think being exposed to people who think differently, I found it to be quite important, you know. Seeing how they manage crisis has been a big learning for me, so that in my own current role as Vice Chancellor of the University of Johannesburg, I can be able to handle a crisis. And also just to see other developments that are happening. The banking industry is absolutely changing quite rapidly. It is digitizing. The idea of a physical bank branch is dying. It is being replaced by a virtual one on our apps. The idea of the meaning of world of work as post-COVID is changing, and different organizations are handling that change quite differently. And all those learnings, I'm finding them very, very useful in my day job as Vice Chancellor of the University of Johannesburg.
Thank you. And what has surprised you about your Nedbank non-executive role, given your prior experience serving on boards that include these academic institutions, and also you mentioned the Nelson Mandela Foundation?
So it is a highly regulated environment. And it is actually the first time for me to sit in such a highly regulated environment. For example, even what we do, how much cash can you be able to carry, and so on and so forth. All those things are subject to regulations. We meet, the deputy governor of the Reserve Bank at least once a year, to discuss issues pertaining what is happening in the bank, what is happening in the industry, and how we're responding to certain questions that they are actually giving. The second issue that I have seen is that the skill sets in boards is also changing quite rapidly. It was clear that you needed somebody with a technological background, especially artificial intelligence, in the world in which we work in. That is obvious. It is happening all across the world. But now with the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, I think you also need people from the health sector to come into our boards, because the companies that are going to succeed in the future post-COVID are companies that are going to have enough expertise and know-how on matters of pandemics and how they impact on whatever organization, whether it is the financial sector, whatever organization. So it is quite clear that that has become an important functionality, that you can't rely on second-hand knowledge. You need experts to be in the room, and you need experts with a stake in the room.
And do you think your more hands-off role as a non-executive director has given you additional insights in terms of leading your team at the University of Johannesburg?
I would say that before I entered the bank, I had a very different view of what leadership actually means. Now that I am, I have been there and I have seen what is happening, I have quite a different view of leadership, and I've incorporated this into our what we do here. One of the things that we do at Nedbank, we have something called Get Fit. So after every meeting, you have an expert that comes and talk about whatever topic. It might be politics of South Africa, it might be cyber security, it might be digital technologies, whatever it is. So it's a Get Fit project. And I have come back here and I have a similar project, because universities are quite different. For example, I have a monthly reading group with my staff and students on a book that has actually influenced me quite greatly. And some of the people that I draw recommendations for such books are people like Bill Gates, who always posts his top 10 books. So I will go and read them and come and discuss them with my staff. And this is really what it is, what a 21st century organization and leadership is all about. It's a learning leadership that is continually learning from people who come from different perspectives, learning from exciting books that have moved other leaders around the world. And that is something that I took directly from the Get Fit project at Nedbank.
So the current pandemic has had a huge impact on every aspect of our personal and business lives. Has remote working made it harder or easier, do you think, to fulfill both of these non-executive as well as your leadership of the university?
It is both. It has made it easier in the sense that we cut on traveling times, going to the bank in order to attend the meetings. But it has also made it difficult because one of the things that we normally used to do before every board meeting is that we meet a day before, evening for dinner, all of us, and just talk about issues, and just talk about issues. Sometimes it would be structured where there are issues that we are just talking over dinner that have been put on the table, or it might just be free so that we can be exchanging ideas about where we are going forward. And secondly, the pandemic actually makes operating difficult. So overseeing a bank during the time in which 70% of the staff are not on campus, during the staff in which business activities is not where it was pre-pandemic, makes your responsibility as a non-executive director much more onerous and difficult to manage.
I can imagine. Gosh, have you learned anything about collaborating remotely in one role that has particularly benefited the other role?
Well, absolutely. I would say that there is much more collaboration in my day-to-day activities than in my non-executive roles. And part of the reason is simply because universities are international. They are much more internationally connected than a bank, for example. So we have collaborations with all sorts of universities, and we'll have meetings and we'll exchange ideas and so on and so forth. And one of the things that I have learned going forward is that the technology that we have is actually not good enough. Connecting the way we are is just not the same thing as being in the same room.
Yeah.
So going forward, I think the role of virtual reality platforms. I'm not talking about virtual systems, video-enabled systems. I'm talking about virtual reality where you can actually beam somebody and they can come and sit with you here while they're sitting elsewhere, obviously, is virtual reality technology. So I think that is where we're going to see this more and more going forward. And I think collaboration, the tools for collaboration, I think we use much more tools for collaboration at higher education institutions than what I see in the private sector, in the sense that we are basically forced to work with people across time, across research collaborations between two academics, one or three, one in China, one in England, another one in America, in an open platform, and so on and so forth. I think that has actually been quite important. Another thing that I've realized, is that the need for data seems to be quite different. Like, for example, as a university, I actually spend 10 million rands every month buying data for all our students. We're a large university, 50,000 students. And it's about 50 gigs and so on and so forth. I realized that companies do not require as much utilization of data as students, I suppose. It makes sense, because just a lesson is a video.
What, Prof. Marwala, are the benefits and the challenges, both of the benefits and the challenges of having a non-executive directorship in a commercial business rather than your grassroots, which is academia?
No, I think business has become very, very complex. And business has become complex in South Africa. And I'm sure you have been reading the newspapers and the sort of problems that we are facing at the Nelson Mandela and Nedbank. So I think I very often find that being a non-executive director is a position where you are required much more to rely on the team that is in place. Yeah. If a team comes to you and say, this is the revenue, yeah. And then the PwC or any other auditing company says, yes, we have done the audits, and this figure is a fair representation.
Yes.
As a scientist, whenever somebody says it is a fair representation, it lacks precision. It lacks precision, So I very often find that it is an environment where you have to rely on the systems and the people that are overseeing, so there has to be an element of trust. Of course, your responsibility is to make them to account, And very often, I also realize that in economics, they have this term, information asymmetry, in insurance, it's a big topic because whenever somebody is making a claim, the person who is making a claim has more information about what actually really happened,
yes,
than you on the other side, but somehow you have to reach an agreement, and you do an assessment and so on and so forth, and those are not exact science, and I'm sure you miss things, and it's almost like that because the executives clearly spend all their time thinking about what is going on, so they obviously understand more about the business than a person who comes once or twice a month,
right. Yes.
So now the big lesson there is that how do you lead people who have more information about what is going on than you do, And I suppose this is leadership. I suppose any CEO will tell you that, yes, I can't be able to go to a division and tell you exactly what is happening, but I have a fair understanding of the business, and I know what to look for to make sure that things don't go horribly wrong.
In terms of diversity and inclusion, I'd love to ask you a bit about this. It's now a must-have on any agenda globally. What are the differences in how diversity and inclusion is tackled in your experience as a principal of a university compared to serving on a board?
For me, diversity is actually a necessary success factor, in our environment. And one of the things that I would like to see more is that whether it is at the university, the board at the university is called the council. We really, and this is the proposal that we have put forward, we have to have a member of council who does not come from South Africa, who is not based in South Africa, simply because as a global university, it has to benefit from a global real-time experience. I use the word real-time because there are many of us, I was educated in North America and United Kingdom, who think because we were educated in those places, we actually understand what is going on globally. No, if you are not living the experience at the moment, you are not up to date. Yes, you were there in the 90s, but we are in 2021. These are different times, So I always think that we need to ensure that our boards are diverse, whether it is in terms of bringing to the fore women leadership, very, very important, whether it is bringing to the fore the African experience, very, very important, whether to bring to the fore the international dimension, And we are lucky, one of our board members at Nedbank is actually based in London. It will even be better if he is active in the London banking or not even just banking system, London business system. Then you know that there is a real-time knowledge transfer on what is happening in the business sector, whether it is the thinking, whether it is the perception of where the future is going to shape like, and how we should prepare ourselves. Very, very important. So, and then obviously, I would obviously like to see a little bit more women. We do have very dynamic women in our board. This is all public knowledge, and I think we need to deepen that, because it's another type of leadership that is essential, that in many ways attends to detail much more than much more, and so on and so forth. And yeah.
Right. In terms of sustainability, I know that this is ingrained in the strategy of Nedbank, as it is in most businesses right now. Do you believe that seeing sustainability from the wider commercial standpoint helps to facilitate you being a more forward-thinking Vice Chancellor and Principal?
Absolutely. I mean, I will give you an example. Number one, energy utilization. We now generate 13% of our power using solar. We are the only university that is generating power using solar. 13%, 13%. You can imagine how much money we save per month, and it looks all beautiful when you come to our campus, because we used to have these empty parking spaces. So what we do, we make them covered parking spaces, but the roof is solar panels. It's just a solar panel farm, and obviously our campus, especially here in Auckland Park, are almost mountainous. So when you are on the hillside, you can be able to see, and it looks absolutely fantastic. I'm proud that we are the only university that is actually doing it.
Gosh, Prof. Marwala, really, really valuable insights, and we really appreciate your time today. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Veronique, and keep well.
I hope you do too. Thank you so much.